Hello and welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports. Today I'm just going to do a quick video on our bike setup for a 200K with about 3140 meters, so 125 miles with 10,300 feet of climbing. Now, crazy enough, it is going to be 86, 88 degrees at the top of Mount Laguna, which is 6,100 foot elevation. And we're going to be down in another town at about 3,000 foot elevation. It's supposed to be about 100 degrees there. So this is October the 5th, and yet we have these really hot temps. So with that headline of elevation, of mileage, kilometers, elevation, and weather, this is how the bikes are being set up. So basically, this is a his and hers setup. Now, Jesse's bike has the standard Dura-Ace brakes on there, so we're going to run 30 tires. There is an 11 plus mile climb called Kitchen Creek, and it's mixed terrain. It's got some pavement, it's got some dirt, but it's pretty harmless dirt the last few times I've been up there. So she's going to run 30s because her Dura-Ace brakes, if she's up out of the saddle and kicking up or doing, any type of hard efforts, the tires do rub a little bit. So we went with a 30 so that we have enough clearance in the brake caliper. And that's front and rear. But I've got some zero gravity. That's going back a few years. I've got some EE brakes from Cane Creek, and so I'm able to run a 32 no problem. Now, really the brakes I want to see what is the real deal on. So these are 32 tires with some EE brakes, and you can see there's plenty of clearance there. And then also front and rear, plenty of clearance. More clearance in the front, but no problem in the rear. There are some brakes from Velo Orange called the Grand Cru, and I'm really looking forward to trying those out. But unfortunately, the only warehouse that I have seen them at is on the East Coast, and I just don't like to pay additional shipping when that's the only thing I need to order from the East Coast warehouse of one of my vendors. So when I mentioned the weather, that is because it's going to be really hot, and so I've got a third bottle cage on both my bike and Jesse's bike. And so what we're trying to do is we have the first 35 miles or so don't have, there is one store at like mile 15. And then, so Jesse just showed up, so this is cool. Now I get to kind of point. Thanks, Jess. So the first control is mile 15. I'm going to do the whole course in a separate video. And then we get down to mile 35, and that's where it's going to be about 100 degrees. So we've got an extra bottle cage here on both bikes. So the first part of the course, we're probably just going to have these two with fluids and this one with just powder when we get to mile 35. Then fill that with fluids, and then we have 3 bottles for the hottest section of the course. Once we summit Mount Laguna at 60, it's like almost 70 miles. We'll have 70 miles and 7,000 feet of climbing. We'll be up at elevation. The weather will be cooler, as in only 80s. Then we won't need that third bottle. It'll be empty the rest of the ride, because then the lowest point, we go to Julian, and that's around 4,000 feet. But So you might ask, well, why use a third bottle? Why not just use a hydration pack? We've used hydration packs before, but honestly, unless you're moving along, I feel too hot with a hydration pack on. So I'd rather just have a third bottle, and it's a bottle that I have the option to use or not use. Whereas if I have a hydration pack, I'm stuck with it for 125 miles. So it's a call I made, it's a judgment call I made for Jess. Jess needs more fluids than I do, but we're both going to need fluids because there's an app that I've talked about in other videos called the Epic Ride Weather something, and it shows you what the forecast is based on your speed on the course, and it's going to be a tailwind from mile 35 up to the summit, so 30 something miles of kind of undulating climbing. So that's going to get hot because you're not moving, and you get this tailwind and you're just roasting like you're in a convection oven. So we talked about the tires. We talked about the additional hydration capacity. Also, we've got a burrito bag, as I like to call them, affectionately like to call them. These are from Pro, the component accessory division of Shimano. I've been talking about this bag, but I'll talk about it more once I do a review. And I don't have a lot of stuff in there now, but I do have, you know, some glasses because I'm getting to a point where I'm probably pretty blind without my readers. I've got some bars, and I've got some Rev Energy in here, but I'm going to put some more stuff in there. And then Jesse's is empty at the moment, so we'll have to decide what we're going to do. We're going to roll with 500 calories in each bottle. So that's 3 scoops of energy, 2 scoops of tailwind until I bring my electrolytes to market. So that's 1,500 calories. We're thinking about 10 hours of pedal time. Jesse hasn't been able to get the training in, so we did a 200K with about 7,000 or 8,000 feet of climbing, and we did about 8 hours. So this has another 2,000 feet of climbing, not as fit. I don't know. I'm cushioning because it's better to know, or it's better to have more calories with you and not need them, right? So we're going to calculate for 10 hours of riding at a minimum of 200 calories. There will be a few stores along the way, so we could pick up more stuff. I love a Coke, at least one during 200K. So we'll need, we have tail lights. I have a headlight in here. I put her headlight mount inside the bag. So we'll bring the headlight just in case. So sunrise tomorrow is 6:46. We roll at 7. And then sunset is 6:27. So essentially about 12 hours of daylight is what we have tomorrow. So we've got plenty of time to get this done with a daylight start and daylight finish. But it's a brevet, so you always have to come prepared for any eventuality. So we've got headlights. Of course, we got our flat repair stuff and our Dynaplug stuff. And if you'll notice the little orange hue here on the wheels, that's just because of the cool stop pads. So on her wheels and her brakes, she's just running the Dura-Ace brake. But I think that's all for the setup. Our bikes are pretty close to a carbon copy, so we're both really big fans of the SQ Lab saddles, the Ritchey components, the Ritchey frames, and we're both running the Favero Axioma power meters for our pedals. So just basic stuff. I don't like to do a lot of really fancy stuff. The brakes, I know that these are god awful expensive, but I was just trying to get bigger tire capacity for my 400K earlier this year and a 600K, which both had a lot of gravel in them, dirt, and then fortunately the 600K, I was running 32s because it was just pouring down rain in the middle of the night from like 10 o'clock at night till 6:30 in the morning. So it was nice to have a bigger tire, let out some air pressure, and have some more grip on the road. That's about it. Jess, you got any questions about the bike setup?
Not really.
Not really.
I'm just here to pedal and suck wheel.
Pedal and suck wheel, and yeah, and if I have to push you up a climb or two, that's fine too. Yeah, that's about it. Gear range, we have 5236 with 1132 cassettes. So 5236 chain rings, 1132 cassettes. Yeah, basically these bikes are carbon copies of each other just because we have a very similar strength in riding. I just have more endurance, but Jesse's actually much stronger than me on climbs as well. And she's always, I'll be one gear easier on a climb at like 90 cadence, and she's one gear harder at like 85 cadence. So she probably doesn't even need that 1132, but we have it just in case. Yeah, that's it. So stay tuned. There's going to be another video where I'm going to talk about the course itself. Now, it's what, Friday at 5:30 in the afternoon. I still haven't looked at the course. So I need to do that video because for my own edification, I need to do that video. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you up the road.